Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about how to prove a parallelogram using properties. First, let's talk about the properties of a parallelogram. Number 1, opposite sides are parallel. And remember, we mark that with an arrow. Opposite sides are also congruent, meaning that they have the exact same length. So AB is congruent to BC, and AB is congruent to DC. Opposite angles are congruent, meaning they have the same exact angle measure. Angle A is congruent to angle C, and angle B is congruent to angle D. Adjacent angles are supplementary, meaning they add to 180 degrees. So remember, adjacent means next to. So A and D are next to each other, they add up to 180. D and C are next to each other, they add up to 180. C and B add up to 180, and B and A. And finally, diagonals bisect each other. And remember what the word bisect means. We create two congruent parts. So if I were to draw in the diagonals, AC is a diagonal, BD is a diagonal, I would create a point, let's say call it E. AE would be congruent to EC, and BE would be congruent to DE. Those are the 5 properties of a parallelogram. Let's look at this example. Number 1, draw a parallelogram ABCD, make sure letters go in order. So I'm going to draw a parallelogram, and I'm going to do A, B, C, D. These letters go in order. It says mark congruent and parallel sides. So remember, AB is congruent to DC, AD is congruent to BC, AB is parallel to DC, and AD is parallel to BC. Now, one way to prove a quadrilateral is a parallelogram is to prove the same pair of opposite sides are both parallel and congruent. So let's read that again. One way to prove a quadrilateral is a parallelogram is to prove the same pair of opposite sides are both parallel and congruent. Let's use this question as an example. So one way to prove would be to say that AB is congruent to CD and AB is parallel to CD. That's one way to prove that this is a parallelogram. The other way is to say AD is congruent to BC and AD is parallel to BC. Notice that we use the same letters twice, AB, AB, CD, CD. The only thing that changes are the symbols in between, congruent, parallel. Notice here, AD, AD, BC, BC, congruent symbol, parallel symbol. So, to prove that it's a parallelogram, you have to prove the same pair of opposite sides are both parallel and congruent. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question. Quadrilateral ABCD with diagonals AC and BD is shown in the diagram below. Which information is not enough to prove ABCD is a parallelogram? So I want to circle the word not because that is key to this question. I'm looking for the multiple choice answer that does not work. So let's do process of elimination. So AB is congruent to CD and AB is parallel to CD. Notice this is what we just proved before. AB AB, CD, DC. Yes, this is the same pair of opposite sides, both parallel and congruent. That is a way to prove it's a parallelogram, so this answer choice is out. Let's look at the second one. AB is congruent to CD, and BC is congruent to DA. That's both pairs of opposite sides are congruent. That is also a way to prove that it's a parallelogram. So this is both pairs of opposite sides congruent, which does prove. Let's look at choice 3. AB is congruent to CD, and BC is parallel to AD. Notice those are two different opposite sides. So not sure about that one. Let's go to choice 4. It says AB is parallel to DC, and BC is parallel to AD. We know that has to be a parallelogram. So both pairs of opposite sides parallel. If both pairs of opposite sides parallel, it has to be a parallelogram. So that answer choice is that. It has to be choice 3. So let's analyze this again. If you notice, I have a congruent symbol and a parallel symbol. But notice that the side lengths are opposite. I have AB, and then I have BC. I have CD, then I have AD. So that one is not correct. It does not prove. Those are different pairs of opposite sides. So remember, the same pair of opposite sides has to be both parallel and congruent to prove a parallelogram.